Today we are going to look at word order in the sentences. So I'm going to look at that one paragraph at a time. That means that I'll do just one video for one paragraph. So let's begin with the introductory paragraph. In this paragraph, we expect to see why it is that you're writing and some key information about that, which probably will answer the questions who, what, where, when or why. As we do this paragraph, we need to think about, have we written the words in the correct order? So first of all, I'm going to read the paragraph to you. I would like to work as a solicitor. This position requires a talented person with sufficient experience, someone who is able to take necessary steps and spends long time on research in order to learn this science. For success in this field, it is essential to be determined and work hard as much as possible. I have studied law in university for 7 years. After I graduated, I did an internship course to get ready for my future career. As soon as I started my job, I felt satisfied because I dominated a majority of articles law. I just needed to transfer legalese article to the contract based on all principles, which I'd taught in the past 7 years in university. Now, the ideas here are really good. However, we need to work on the English expression. So let's have a look at this one sentence at a time. I would like to work as a solicitor. That's a really good sentence to begin with. Second sentence, this position require, now we need that to say requires. So this position requires, so we just need to put an S on the end of that word. This position requires a talented person with sufficient experience, and then it becomes a really good sentence. Where we lose the sentence structure is by starting the next sentence with the word someone. When you have learnt to use colons, we can replace that full stop. But at the moment, we're just trying to move words into the basic sentence. So we have to change the beginning. We would probably put, for a sentence, this needs to be someone who is able to take the necessary steps. Then we have to think about the necessary steps to do what? So, looking at that second sentence, this needs to be someone who is able to take the necessary steps in this position and spends a long time on research and has spent a long time on research in order to learn this science. Think about what you want to say there. It might not be the words I've used, but it would be something like, I would like to work as a solicitor. This position requires a talented person with sufficient experience. This would be somebody who is able to take the necessary steps in this field and has spent a long time on research in order to learn this science. Then you move on to the next sentence, which is a really good beginning. For success in this field, it is essential to be determined and work, and then we would put, and work as hard. It is essential to be determined and work as hard as possible. Then that would be a really good sentence. So it would say, for success in this field, it is essential to be determined and work as hard as possible. Let's have a look at the next sentence. I have studied law in university for 7 years. That's lovely, but perhaps as the reader, I might want to know the name of the university, and that would make that sentence even more informative. The next sentence, after I graduated, begins with a really good English word focusing on time. After. After I graduated, I did an internship course to get ready for my future career. Then the next sentence. As soon as I started my job, I felt satisfied because I dominated a majority of articles law. The only problem with that sentence is that I don't really understand the phrase dominated a majority of articles law. Do you mean that you focused on the article of law? If you think about that sentence, you could perhaps send me a phrase and we will have a look at how that fits in. But certainly the first bit is really good. As soon as I started my job, I felt satisfied because. Well done. Looking at the last sentence, we start off with I just needed to. That's a really good sentence opening. And you're talking again about the article. I just needed to transfer legalese article to the contract. Again, look at that phrase. I'm not quite sure if that's the way that we would say it. Perhaps I could talk to you about that bit there. Based on all, and all I would put in there is the word the, based on all the principles which I had taught in the past 7 years in university. Remember, you didn't do the teaching, you did the learning. So in the past 7 years in university, you learnt. So the difference between the word taught and learnt is that the person who is the teacher is doing the teaching. The person who is the student is doing the learning, and therefore they have learned. So I would make the ending of that sentence, which I have learnt in the past 7 years in university. That's the end of the first paragraph. If we can just look at those phrases about the law and find a good way to say that in English, that would be brilliant. In the next video, we'll do paragraph 2.